Hey gang, Zypher07 here, aka Z, and first off, before I get started, I just wanted to address that I'm trying a different style of editing today, with a voiceover feel instead of the hands-on, hopefully making the process a whole lot simpler. For now, let me know if you would rather me do transformations in the video, describing the steps, or just upload a second MGO-styled video, like a Just Transform It. With all that being said, let's get into the reason why you're here, but real quick, before we get started, I'd just like to say, if you like what you see and you'd like to see more of my content, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Completely free, and if you don't like it later, you can always unsubscribe. Enjoy the video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the RP01 Acoustic Wave and companion RP01B Cassette sets. First up, we're going to take a quick look at the boxes, and they're looking great. From the cool graphics up front and the product shots throughout, it all comes together to create a great looking presentation. The same patterns and shots can also be seen on the Cassette box, also presenting an awesome display. But that's enough about boxes. Let's get on to more things like the accessories. Accessories-wise, the Acoustic Wave has so much more to offer in terms of artificial pricing, meaning Robot Paradise, with quotes, included a bunch of extra things to make this figure worth the $250-$300 price tag. But both sets come with some pretty sweet book instructions. Please, please, please give us more book instructions, they're much better quality. As well as collector cards for each individual character. Anyway, Soundwave comes with his concussion blaster, with a simple enough transformation from battery to blaster, as well as his infamous shoulder cannon. Other than that, the cassette Soundwave comes with his Frenzy. Sorry, everyone, but the more famous media outlet calls him Frenzy, but feel free to disagree with me in the comments. Ravage's Laserbeak literally only come with the cassette case, and Rumble, the blue one, comes with the same accessories as Frenzy, just painted in blue. Comes with 2 blasters and 2 pile drivers, picked out in some sick metallic paint, as well as 2 alternative head sculpts, and a cassette case. Heading back over to the rest of the numerous accessories with Soundwave, he comes with all the parts to turn him into the quote-unquote toy mode. Don't get me wrong, this is a really neat idea, but it's just not for me. So I won't be showing off how they incorporate it, I'll just shortly go through a short list of what he comes with. He comes with the toy face sculpt, 2 shoulders, covers, a new chest piece. However, I got the Icon 3D Labs one upgrade, and I'll touch on that later. So both the originals are shown here. New shin and knee, lower thigh covers, and new leg panel details to go on the side of his legs to make him look sloppily cluttered and kibbly like the toy. Whoopee. He also comes with this neat little Energon cube. That can clip over his chest, recreate dispensing cubes, or just sit there. That kind of looks kind of sad. If only there were like a colored sheet, or whatever. Additionally, I have, since owning this figure, picked up the Icon 3D Labs chest upgrade. That gives him a really cool, cel-shaded window and protruding Decepticon logo, and it looks good no matter what you have in his chest, which is personally how I prefer it and will be keeping it. Unfortunately, and it pains me to say that because no one wants to hear the word unfortunately when talking about a $300 figure, but there are some really bad drawbacks, and these don't have to do at all with the sculpt, but the actual QC. We'll start off by talking about the cassettes. Ravage, unfortunately, has been made with some rather loose pins in his hind legs, resulting in some stupidly loose back limbs. He also sucks at standing, and sometimes he just looks like he's crying out for help. Rumble and Frenzy also both suck when it comes to tolerances, because of the extremely small pins in their thighs are slowly loosening, and neither of them can stand very well, which is why I have Rumble bent over, supported by his pile drivers. But of course, now that the cameras are on, Frenzy is standing fine, but you saw how loose his legs were. As for Laserbeak, he is perfect and I love him. Moving on to the more expensive figure is where it makes me mad. I'd like to point out that Buddy has a QC sticker on his leg, meaning he passed inspection. Like what? First off, the shoulder where the panel flips up for transformation has actually been missing a connecting pin. He was missing a vital piece. Moving to the chest, the mechanism on it inside, for whatever reason, doesn't work. So the storing 2 tapes just is straight up broken. And I'll never be able to put more than 1 tape in this or else they'll all get stuck. And finally, the things that makes me the most upset is he came with the missing peg where the shoulder cannon plugs in. Like, what the heck? He went through QC inspection and for some reason is just missing a piece that is identifying to the character. Fortunately, after 3 months of calls and emails with Robert T of sorts, he has responded and he said he'd get me the piece, which now have here. With it applied, it looks great, but I shouldn't have had to wait 3 months for it. Regardless, I love this figure, and it is honestly the definitive Soundwave in my collection. So with all that out of the way, I'm going to start praising this figure for the rest of the video. Before we get over to the big boy, we're going to take a quick look at his minions. First up is Loose Looking McGee. Oh, sorry, I mean Ravage. Honestly, he's probably the best looking Ravage figure I have ever seen. Even the MMC one doesn't look like his cartoon accurate self. This one, however, is slim while still being wide enough and not look like a two-dimensional object. The paint is a nice, quote-unquote, fancy black. That just means that it's not quite flat, but not quite italic. From all angles, it is seemingly perfect, especially when put next to its cartoon image. And it all looks pretty spot on, besides a couple of the details showing through from the tape mode. Articulation-wise, he has 3 pins on his front legs and paw that allow for back, forward, and outward motion. He has 2 pins in the back leg and a ball joint at the base. Some in and out movement. There's no movement at all in the tail, however there is a hinge at the base of the neck and a ball joint at the base of the skull that result in some pretty great range. Along with the hinge, he also hinge at the jaw. He really comes alive. Moving right along, we'll take a look at the twins. Rumble and Frenzy both look great. From the spot-on head sculpts and metallic reds and blues and fancy blacks, Fans Toys has nailed what I expect the tapes to look like. They also have nice colors and nice silver and gold chrome paint applications depicting the sharper details. They also come with blasters, which just plug into the hands or on his back, and they come with some nicely painted pile drivers. They aren't friction, so they only have 2 points of articulation, in and out. To get them to the out position, push the button, and it'll shoot out. They're pretty strange when it comes to articulation, though. The base of the head is on a hinge for up and down and rotating swivel. Arms are placed at a strange position where the shoulders are a bit low, but he has full range up and the elbow bends to a 90, and his wrist can move in. Nothing at the waist. Legs are on a joint that goes forward and all the way back. The legs get all the way out as well. He has a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and finally his ankles pivot on a ball joint. Moving on to the last minion, which is my absolute favorite, Laserbeak. Whoops. Either way, he looks completely show accurate. Everything on him from the thrusters to the wings. Feature-wise, there's a camera flip out inside of his head. It's not painted, but it's nicely sculpted. Laserbeak also has little cutouts for where his feet are that allow tabs on Soundwave's arm and shoulders to be plugged into, so he can perch. Articulation on him is as follows: a rotation at the base of the wing for forward moving joint and 3 pins in the wing for good bird poses, back and forth at the legs and a swivel at the base of the foot. He has a pin at the base of his neck and skull, but unfortunately not beak articulation. But all these joints allow for a great range of pose. Size-wise, they're all tiny, but here are some masterpiece figures for comparison. Transformation of all of them are pretty straightforward. Laserbeak transforms just as you'd think. Rumble and Frenzy fold up like their G1 counterparts. Their legs have a strange double joint, but their legs also have some cool gun storage. And Ravage has a neat transformation basically folding inside out. But they completely consolidate themselves into pretty neat cassettes. And they look like cassettes. And as for playability, it's a box. And that's about it. Moving on to Soundwave, I gotta say, this figure is intense. While it's certainly not the largest of Fans Toys' offerings, it does just have an insanely demanding presence with figures around it. As you can see, it is nearly 1-to-1. The deep blue is a solid representation of what his cartoon counterpart looks like. The white looks great and isn't that off-white that is presented throughout the War for Cybertron trilogy. The shimmering red is stunning, and all the accent colors just make this figure one of the greatest I've ever been able to handle. Not to mention the gold chrome accenting the chest and the silver buttons. Now, some may say he might be a little too bland with the soft curves and the plain surfaces, but it gives me the opinion of Jobby's patented Roger Rabbit effect. When it comes to articulation, he also has some of the best joint ranges, and just joints in general, I've ever seen on a figure. The shoulder cannon-wise is a base at the swivel, and the base of a couple other hinges that allow for great range. Head has full 360 rotation at the pin of the neck and allows a lot of upward movement. Shoulders have a ratcheted joint for 360 rotation and outward movement all the way to 90 degrees. There's a bicep swivel, single jointed elbows that gets almost the full range, individually articulated fingers with a ball joint at the wrist that allows for inward movement. The waist has an ab crunch forward and back. It's not that much, but it's enough, and there's a waist swivel that can go all the way around, if you move the backpack out of the way, that is. Moving down to the hips, there are on universal joints that gets pretty much all the range you would need. There's a thigh swivel, single jointed knees that gets well past 90, and an ankle pivot with toe tilt. All in all, this figure begs to be posed. Just look at all these shots I was able to get in about 5 minutes. He is so worth the $300 price point, and he is one of, if not my favorite figures in my collection, and we haven't even gotten to the Transformers part of the Transformer. The transformation is pretty straightforward, but there are some tight tolerances that can be pretty scary. Along with that, if you don't have nails, like me for this transformation, it's really going to hurt. Along with the fact that the shoulder pin is missing, so it'll just fall off during the transformation. Regardless, all this results in compacting down into a great little mini cassette player. While he quite has some empty soft surfaces, it just appeals in this alt mode to me, and it looks like it popped out of the pilot episodes of the original series. It's a solid brick nearly all the way around, besides maybe the emptiness at the bottom, but it mostly feels out really nice, and it is indeed a solid brick. It's a cool 2 pounds at least, and it feels great. Features in this mode include a dial on the left for sound, and an off switch on the right. The chest door remains its opening functionality in this mode, allowing you to get all your favorite tunes and minions getting stuck. Overall, this is probably my favorite figure I've ever owned. He is menacing, intense, and he demands presence on any shelf that he's on. The $300 price point is steep, and the $160 cassette pack is even steeper, but I think it is well worth it. The articulation and posing are some of the best I've ever seen. The accessories, while not all necessary, are a nice inclusion, and I can't get over how much I love this figure. Beyond that, there's not much more for me to say. The negatives suck, but with the chest is a feature I really don't care about, and the pin is always fixable. And neither issue is affected by either mode. The countless hours of fun I've had with him more than make up for the price of entry. And with that, I think I've said my part. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed my take on RPO1 Acoustic Wave. You guys take care, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out, guys.